Hey there, this is Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com and the Speech Therapy Solution. Today I'm answering a question about how to make reading therapy more relevant and interesting for a teen that has dyslexia and dysgraphia. So this is a kiddo who is having trouble with a lot of reading skills, and I think maybe they said dyspraxia with this one as well. So a lot of different things going on, but a lot of different sound problems and things that are going to make reading really difficult. So this therapist felt like she was really kind of hitting the same things over and over again, and it just wasn't very interesting, even though the student was motivated to practice. She's just looking for some ways to make it more relevant. So I have 3 ideas for you. The first one would be to use the students' classwork. So find out opportunities to work on that reading practice within the student's homework or the assignments that he's already doing. So you can look for and practice specific spelling patterns. You were talking about some digraph situations that you were working on. You could look for those kinds of things within the words that you need to know, that he's going to need to know for tests or that he's using on his assignments. You could take his reading assignments if he has to read something at home, and you could have him read that with you during therapy, and you could work on that decoding and the sound rules and any of those things that you're working on. And then you could also just work on anything that comes up throughout the course of homework. I've even worked on math homework before with a kiddo by breaking down directions. So if it was like a word problem, breaking that up into the parts and making sure that the child was understanding what each word meant, talking about the vocabulary of math. And that was more for reading comprehension than decoding. But you see where I'm going with this is where you can just use whatever homework that they're working on and work on the language pieces within that. And ideally, the student should be more interested in working with you on this because you're basically reducing the amount of time he'll have to study or do homework later. So if you can help these students out by giving them a lighter load in terms of homework, instead of adding to their load, that's really going to help get you that buy-in from them because they're going to see, okay, she's here to help me. This is really helpful that I'm coming to speech however many times a week. So I would definitely say using classwork is a good way to do this. Plus, you always have fresh materials because the classwork is going to be constantly changing. So I would try that. Another thing you could do would be to find some magazines about things that the student is interested in. So I would just go to the school library and go with the student and have him pick out some magazines or magazine articles that he's interested in. If you don't have magazines in your library, you could always do some reference books or nonfiction books. Or pick out some more simple fiction books and just pick out passages from that. But I really like the idea of magazines just because they're a little more accessible, I guess. They're easier to read and get into and enjoy because you're supposed to consume it in very small pieces. So what you would do is you would have the student pick out some articles with you, and then you would read over those articles ahead of time and pick out some of the keywords that would highlight those spelling patterns or rules or structures or whatever it is that you're working on right now in speech therapy or in reading therapy for this kiddo. You would pick out some words that contain those, and then you would have the child practice those words at the beginning of the session, and then have him read through the article using all that good decoding. And when you come on one of those words, then you would say, okay, remember, this is one that we practiced. Do you remember our rule here in the middle? And just kind of jog his memory. And then you could even do some activities with those words after you read the article as well. So that would be a fun way to kind of use his interests and get him a little more excited about the reading work that you're doing. Okay, so then the last thing that I have would be to find reading materials from websites that the teen enjoys. So a lot of our teenagers are browsing the internet and hanging out on social media and doing all of the normal teenage things. So you can use this to your advantage. So ask the student which kinds of websites he enjoys browsing and look through and see if there's any of those that have short articles that you could do essentially the same thing that we just talked about with the magazines, where you're going to pick out words that contain the rules and then you're going to practice those and then read the article. So it could be a website that puts out 10 steps to doing this or, anything like that they're interested in, and use those articles just the same way you would as a magazine. Okay, so that's what I have for you. If you have any other questions or any other suggestions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and I will get back to those as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.